on the table are the things we need for this new DIY. We are going to use the tumbling tile blocks, of course, the smaller blocks, my container with everything inside, some scissors, markers, brushes, some mudboard, some twine, and of course the wood glue. What will we do without it? I have here some paint, the white and the dark brown, because I'm going to make a lighter brown color. And I have here my old saucer with an old piece of kitchen towel which is wet to wipe away the glue. And I have here one silhouette print. I will show it to you, and you see already it's a gingerbread. We are going to make a gingerbread cupboard. So of course we are not going to use this gingerbread in totally, we are going to use it in parts. So we will see how this will turn out. So first I'm going to give you the measurement of my gingerbread silhouette, what I'm going to use. So the wider side from the arms are 20 centimeters. So I'm going to turn it over for the inches. In inches is 8 inches, so 20 centimeters and 8 inches. And I'm going to do now the longest line. It is in centimeters, it is 29, and in inches it is, of course I have to do it on the longest line, it is 11 and a half, a little bit less than 11 and a half. If you keep this measurement of a silhouette which you are printing out of, maybe you can draw something yourself, then your blocks sizes are correctly. So use this measurement, and your the blocks which we are going to make is fitting totally. So again, I'm going to place this aside, because first we're going to look how much blocks I need for my gingerbread. So on the table are already laying the plank we are going to make for the gingerbread, and I have here now 4 rows of 13, but we are going to need 6 rows of 13, but there was no room on my mat, so I'm going to make first 4 of them, and then we're going to do the other 2 also extra. So we need 6 rows of 13 blocks. So I'm going to do a little piece with you together, because we're going to glue the longest line of the blocks, and then we're going to place them easy together. But of course, don't worry, the rest I will do a little faster. And the last, and then we're going to easy squeeze it from within to the outside, because it's a long row. And again, give it some pressure and make sure that you have a nice straight line. It is not really bad if your straight line is not really straight, because it's only a plank. Later we're going to place our gingerbread on top. So we're going to wipe away the glue like this. And then we're going to do the second row, but I do it a little faster. So now I have the first 4 rows of my 6 rows of 13, but I'm going to glue them already together, because if you wait too long, then it's not so easy to fill in the open gap. So I'm already going to glue this 4 together until one piece. And I'm going to do the last over here. We're going to place this one together, this one over here, and this one over here. And then we're going to gently turn it over, and we're going to give some pressure on the sides to fill in the open gaps, because that's what we want. And of course, also don't forget the sides. And you see, if you wait already, sometimes it's already sucking in really well, and then you are a little late for filling in the open gap. So I'm just in time. I shouldn't wait longer, because or else it didn't glue anymore. So this, oh, you see already this one is not really in for it. So I'm going to give it some pressure again. Easy. It doesn't matter if it falls apart. You just shove it in and you just let it dry in. So we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to go for the last 2 rows of 13. So I'm going to lay them down on my table. So you see already the last 2 rows of 13, and I'm going to glue them, and we're going to place them also on the underside of the rest, so we get a nice piece of 6 rows of 13. And you see already I should have a bigger mat, because my mat is not really really big. I see sometimes with DIYs that they have a really big mat, so I have to go on the hunt for maybe one bigger. Maybe I can order them online. So we will find out. So again, this is one. Now we're going to go for row number 2 of 5 and 6. It's just how you call it. And very easy. You just a little on the side. And then we're going to let this piece rest at least for 1.5 hours before we're going to get our saw and we're going to saw it out, because it needs a little moment to dry in before we can use our saw, because we're not going to use the gingerbread in totally. We're going to saw it in a part. So you see that later. Of course, we're going to squeeze it, wipe away the glue and give it a couple of minutes drying. So now we have our 2 last rows, and I'm carefully going to place this on the side. And of course it still can fall apart. And now we do some glue on the tops and try to give every block a little bit of glue. And we do here the same. And then we have our plank, which will be the sides of our cupboard. At least we're going to use it as kind of a side the side of the cupboard. Again, we're going to give it some pressure, fill in the open gaps. And you see this goes easier than we had it with the 4, because then it dries in already a little. And over here, wiping away the glue, and we're going to place this aside. So for the first side of our cupboard, we are going to do 6 rows of 6 blocks. So 6 rows of 6, and we're going to glue again the smallest line of the side of the block. So very easy, and you just row them until one piece like this. And so you go on and on until you have all of them, and then you're going to wipe away the glue, squeeze it, of course, don't forget that. And we're going to wipe away the glue. This is already number 3, and it is so easy to do. You can so easy make, and this is more kind of a cupboard for the smallest spaces, because I keep this one very small. I made a lot of cupboards already over this last year, but they are from small spaces and they are for bigger spaces. So if you want to look, just go look for a playlist, and then you will find a lot of cupboards. And soon there also will be a video which is the best of the cupboard. So there will be also everything in one video. Of course the video is a little bit long, but then you have everything inside. So I have now my 6. I'm going to squeeze it this way. We're going to press it down, and we do here the same. And the number 4, and the last number 5, not the last, but this is the last. And we only need to wipe away the glue, and we're going to give it a couple of minutes rest. And of course you see already, if you have everything glued together and you wipe away the glue, afterwards always make sure that you have a nice straight line, because it moves around. So I'm going to give it some rest for a couple of minutes. So we gave it a couple of minutes. We're going to turn all of them, and this way, and we make 1 row out of it. So very carefully, because it's still not totally dry yet. So we're going to place this one, of course, this one up. We're going to place this one up, and this one. And you see here is not dry, but it doesn't matter. We just place it on the side. We do some glue on the tops, and some glue over here, and over here, and over here, and over here. And now we're going to place it down and row them easy together this way. And number 6, and again we're going to give it some pressure over here, and we're going to also from the outside to fill in the open gaps. And you see already, if you do it fast enough, that it's easy goes in each other. And that's what we want at least. So we're going to wipe away the glue, and this is already side number 1. And we place this one on the top, and we're going to do now side number 2. So you see already I have again 6 blocks of 6, so 6 rows of 6. This is the other side because we need 2 sides. So I'm going to do this one a little faster because I won't bore you that much. So also with the to the other side, we are going to place them in one line, the same like we did with the other one. We're just going to, you see already, place them together. Just place them up, place it up, place this one up and this one. And that's why I also show you this pieces, because it will fall apart also with probably when you are going to make it. And that's fine, it is not really a problem. You just go, and with if you use hot glue, I don't recommend hot glue for this DIY. I have to be honest, because or else it is the chance that it falls really, if it breaks. I think that's a better word I can use, that it breaks apart, and that's not what you want with this cupboard, because normally you hope to use it for a long time. That's why I always recommend most of the times, if you can find it, use the wood glue, because you have so much more profit of your piece which you are going to make, because it stays in place. So this is number 2. And now we're going to make the little shelves in between the bottom and the top. So for the last pieces we're going to make for this DIY, at least are going to make with you're going to use the blocks, is 8 rows of 6. So 8 rows of 6 blocks. That will be the top, that will be the bottom, and that will be 2 shelves in between. So it's very easy. We're just going to glue this 8 pieces. So I'm going to start with only one, then the rest, of course, I will do a little faster. And then we are almost finished with gluing, pressing, squeezing, and wiping away the glue. At least not too much anymore. So we are going to do the rest faster. So now we have our 8 pieces. What we're going to do, we are going to make one on the side. We do some glue over here, and we place a one against here. So we make one little piece, just squeeze it and make sure that you have them in a straight line. We do here the same. We do some glue over here. Make sure that you have every block a little bit of glue. And again, we're going to make sure that you have them in a straight line, like this. This is already one. We're going to do the other one. And then we get, if everything is correctly, we get 4 little blocks, and that will be the bottom, the top, and 2 shelves. Again, this one. And this will be glued against this one. So, and then you're going to squeeze in, fill in the open gaps. And if there is one block which is totally out of line, then it's better that you place it out, because it has to be a little bit fitting, because it are the shelves and the bottom, or else you don't get it glued to the sides. So I'm going to let this rest for a couple of minutes. So if everything is correctly, you have 2 of the longer pieces. This will be the sides, and you have 4 of these pieces like this, 2 rows of 6 glued together, and you have them 4 times. What we're going to do, we're going to place one of them over here and over here. Now we're going to get some glue, and we're going to place this one at the ending. So we're going to do very easy, some glue on this side, and we place this one at the ending of the one side. And again, we're going to place it straight up and give it some pressure. And feel with your fingers that you have it really at the ending, because it has to stand on its own. We do here again the same, some glue. And I made my side of my openings over here. I do one over here, and at the ending, because after 2 blocks in the line from 2 until 3, I'm going to do also one like this in the half. And over here, give it some pressure. I'm going to place again some glue on this side. And I'm going to do this one in between the 4th and the 5th. I'm going to do it also halfway. And again, some pressure from the top. And now the last one, that will be the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter. And we're going to do over here, and we place this one also at the ending. So really easy, just give it some pressure too. Feel with your fingers and make sure that you have a nice straight line. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, and then we're going to do the other top on here. So now we're going to get some glue, and we're going to do very carefully. We do some glue on the top over here, and we do here some glue, and on this one, and on the last. And then we're going to place this one very carefully on top. I have to look for that I have it where I want to have it. And I'm going to let it fall down. I do here the same, and of course the glue is running out, but it doesn't matter. I'm very carefully going to look for that I have it also here and here on the same height that I want to have it. Give it some pressure, and over here. And now we're going to let it dry in at least for a couple of minutes before we're going to work with it. This one is fitting very nicely, so I'm really happy with it. So again, I'm going to give it some pressure from the top, and we're going to give it at least half hour, at least 15 minutes. So in the meantime, while my little cupboard is drying, I'm going to get my plank which we made as first, because it needed to dry. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to place my, I have the wrong side, sorry. So I'm going to get my piece, and I'm going to cut it out, of course, around the outside of the lines, and then we're going to place it on top of here. So you see already, I place my gingerbread on top of here, and I'm going to get my marker, and I'm going to go over a line, over the lines on the ending, and of course I'm going to take my time for it, just to get it nicely on top of here. And then you see how this is turned out. So this is how my gingerbread turned out, and I'm going to go now to my garage, and I'm going to saw it out. And for everyone, of course, you can do it with a hand saw, but it's a lot of work. I use my Jigsaw from the Lidl, from the brand Parkside. It was very cheap, so I use my Jigsaw, and it is so easy to use. So if you are a little bit scared, only make sure that you keep it safe, but it's such an easy Jigsaw to use. Of course, if you don't have, I hope you have someone in your family who can saw it for you, because this time, this is a DIY, we have to saw it. You can't do it without. So I'm going to go to my garage, and I'm going to saw it out. So this is how the gingerbread turned out, and I'm really happy with the result. What we're going to do right now, because we're going to change it up, this is not the way we can do it on our cupboard. So we're going to saw it in half. So I'm going to look for where I think I need to have the half, because I see already the feet, and of course the head is a little bit different. So I have to look for, if this is 3, 4, 5, this will be the middle over here. So I'm going to look for almost over here. So I'm going to look for if this going to work a little bit with my underside. Oh, this is a little bit tricky. So I'm going to play with it and you see in a moment how he's looking like when I make a line across. So I made my line over here and I did it until here and I made the cross. Yeah, that sounds that sounds strange. I'm going to make the cross of at least this point a little higher, so it's fitting a nice balance over here, so we don't end in the wrong place of the gingerbread. So I'm going to go to my garage and I'm going to saw it in half. So now my gingerbread is in half, of course. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to paint this piece, 2 pieces, and of course my little cupboard over here. And it turned out so nice. And if you glue this later together, it will look great. Especially like I told you, if you want to make a little corner with the gingerbread house, because it's so nice to decorate with some gingerbread. I'm going to mix some glue of some. I don't know why I say glue every time. I mix some paint with some darker brown paint with some white. So, because I want to have it a little bit kind of the cook color. But of course I have to be sure that not everything is coming under my brown. That's not what we want. So I'm going to do this one and I do a little bit of white. And I always can mix some extra white, but first don't start with too much white. So, and then I'm going to look for which color we are going to get. And now it looks very strange, but of course I hope it gets a little bit of the gingerbread color. Of course, gingerbread you have in different colors, but for me it's a little bit more like the, yeah, not really light brown, but also this is for me now still a little too dark. So I'm going to mix in a little bit extra with the white. And of course I do it in this box because so I can use it for another DIYs. So again, a little bit of white extra over here. And this is getting a little bit more the color that I like. But mix any color you like. I'm going to take my time for it and then I'm going to paint the pieces. So I painted all the pieces and of course I placed my gingerbread almost against each other because we're going to paint it in totally and then we're going to place it apart so we have a nice gingerbread on each side the same. So I'm going to now get my white and I'm going to make little stripes on the sides and fill them later on with red. So first I'm going to do a little bit of glue. Oh my! And it isn't even Monday. Of course I mean a little paint. So I'm going to dab it over here and just make little stripes like this. Leave pieces open. And so I go totally around. It's very easy to do and it is relaxing. Of course I have to make sure that I have a nice line. And now we're going to go further on this side. And this way. And so I go around. So you see already I made my white little stripes. It's so easy to do and later we're going to fill it in with the red. But first I have my sponges and I ordered them online on Temu in a set of different sizes. This is the smaller one I will use for eyes and this is a little bit size bigger and I'm going to use it for the nose. So we will see if this will look nice or not. So we're just going to dab it in and we're just going to place one over here. And now we're going to do one in the opposite direction, but of course I hope at the same height. This is already a one. And now I'm going to do for the nose, and I have here the red color. Again, I'm just going to dab it in and dab it next to here. And of course, just make sure that you have on every piece of the sponge you have some paint, because you don't want that half of your piece is not done, because or else you have to do it again. And I'm already not someone who can. And I placed almost my gingerbread together. So I placed the nose in the middle, and then of course when I place it apart it will be half. So I'm going to try to get it even. And now I hope that it looks nice. And this is already a one. So again, we're going to let this dry in, and then we're going to do the mouth. And of course I have to draw that one. So now I have a really small brush, and I'm going to place it inside of the black paint, and I'm going to try to place a little bit of a line. Of course I do my best. And of course it takes a little bit of your time, but just take your time for it. That works the best. And if I can do it, you can do it, because I'm really a bad painter. So I always have some things to help me, the sponges, some markers, so I always do the best I can. So again, I'm going to go for this one a little higher, that I have it on the same length over here. And now I only made a half around, and now I'm going to make kind of a half bow on top, just like this. And I do in the opposite direction the same. Of course I have to turn myself a little, and I make a half bow over here also, because it needs to be a little the same, because we are going to pull it apart, but of course they stay in the same corner. So I'm already happy how this is turning out. So I'm going to let it rest, and then we're going to fill it in with the red color. So I'm going to make two little buttons on top of here, and I was debating which color I would do, maybe red, maybe I think I'm going to go for the white. So I'm going to make sure that I have enough white on my piece, so I have to look for, and then I'm going to go and place it over here, and I'm going to place one over here. I'm going to try to make it a little bit more like a round. So this is how this one is turned out. Now the only thing I need to do is the red pieces in between. And you see already I'm filling in the open gaps between the white and the red, and I just keep it very simple. I just make a little small line in between, so I fill up with the brown, and I go over it until it is nice red. And this is really a little bit of a task, so just take your time for it, because it, like I told you earlier, it is relaxing to do. So I already take my time, and then we're going to let it dry. And then we're going to glue it on top of our cupboard. So I'm really happy how my gingerbread turned out, but of course I miss a little bit of the pink cheeks over here. So I'm going to mix up a little red with some white. So then I hope that I get a little bit of the pink color. So I hope at least light pink, and then I'm going just only to stress a little bit on the cheek, not too much. So I'm just going to dab it off the most of my paint because I don't want to have too much on top of here. And a little bit over here, like this. And for me, he is done right now. So I'm going to let it dry. And now I'm going to, you see in a moment that we are going to glue it on the sides of our cupboard. So you see already the two gingerbread halves are here. And of course I have here my little cupboard. And this cupboard, of course, you can place your gingerbread on every place you like. You can place it totally on the side. You can do it in the front. You can do it totally over here. You choose anything you like. You don't have to do it the way that I do it, but just, you see, you can place it anywhere. I'm going to place mine on top of here. So I'm going to place this one on the side. I'm going to get my cupboard, place it down, and I'm going to go and I'm going to make some on this side. I'm going to turn it and I'm going to do some glue on this side of my gingerbread. So very easy, just place it over here, and I'm going to turn this one around, and I'm going to look for where I want to have it exactly. I think I'm going to go for over here. And I have to keep it in place for a little moment. Of course, I won't let you wait for that. So I keep it in place for a little moment until it is dry in a little bit. So now I have one side on top of here. Now I'm going to do only the other one. So I'm going to do some glue again on this side over here. And again, I have to be sure that I have more than enough because I don't want that it is falling off. Again, we're going to place it on top of here. I have to look for that I have it on the spot I like to have it, over here and over here. And now I'm going to keep it. Oh, I'm sorry. I already am a little having a little cold, but of course I'm sorry. I'm going to keep this in place also for a little moment, and you see in a moment the quick impression. And you see finally the quick impression of my Tumbling Tower Blocks gingerbread cupboard, and I'm so happy how this one turned out. Especially you can use it, like I told you, for small spaces. I just decorated very easy and simple, just to let your imagination go and where you can place it in your home. So I hope you give this one a try. Everyone who is new here, I hope you enjoy what you saw. And if you do, I hope you will click the red subscribe button, give me a thumbs up and hit the bell, so you will be notified every time I upload new DIYs. For more DIYs, come on over to my description box. There you find the link for our DIY channels. Everyone have an amazing day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.